Hi, I'm Pete Andresen with Andresen and Associates, and I want to talk this week about what I think is going to happen in 2024 because it's fascinating. If you look back on what happened in 2023, the answer is a lot of unexpected stuff, and a lot of what we expected didn't happen. And that's pretty much true for 2024. I'm using notes. This is complicated enough to use notes. The bottom line is, I have been looking at what the larger investment houses are saying. I've been looking at the economic numbers, and here are my concise thoughts. We face a wide spectrum of possible outcomes in 2024. There's a lot of variables out there. And so it's important. Number one, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. And number two, it can pay off to guess, but more often it does not. So it's better to maintain a diversified place until we have an event path unfolding before us. So let's look first at what could go completely nuts in 2024. Global geopolitics. People are talking about the 40 big elections. It's whatever the number. There's a lot of elections going on in 2024. A lot could happen. I believe that we are facing an elevated possibility of war for the United States, not above 50%. In other words, it's not a slam dunk, it's not a sure thing, but we are entering a phase of geopolitical insecurity and we aren't ready for it. Domestic politics, we have the potential, the rare potential for the United States to elect an incompetent from any party. I mean, we have a real list of bozos out there that we might elect. We also have the opportunity to elect some truly statesman-like people. And let's see what happens. That could really influence what happens next. Energy supply. The Saudis are gnawing at the idea of restricting energy supply. Has anyone noticed yet that old-fashioned petroleum energy has not only not gone away, but maintained its status as a major player in the financial world? Natural disasters. Hey, climate change, viruses, all kinds of wild cards there. Technology, people are obsessing in both directions about AI, artificial intelligence. It's either going to make the world perfect or it's going to be the Terminator, and we don't know yet, possibly in the middle. One thing we know is it won't go away. Evil forces and good forces both are going to develop this. It's going to be a very hard thing to control the genie once it gets out of the box. Social mania. We have seen in the last decade especially that it's quite possible for a large percentage of the population to simply go nuts. And so let's see what happens. And the seventh thing is something we don't know. This is why we want to start diversified. Now, we have to point the boat somewhere. So what do I think is going to happen? What's my guess? And the first thing is that right now, the markets are priced for a soft landing. If it happens, it'll be the first soft landing in history. The statistics are all saying soft landing. We may, in fact, be watching the first soft landing in modern history, where interest rates went up, the yield curve inverted, but we didn't go into a recession. That's what a soft landing looks like. I am skeptical just because I've looked at all those yield curves. I have to say that a soft landing seems to be unfolding right before our eyes, but that a soft landing is what it looks like before we slip into a recession as well. So we may see a recession in 2024. We may see a soft landing in 2024. Either way, the economy has to slow down, and I don't see how we avoid two things happening. The first is interest rates going down after some volatility. mildly going down, not hopefully not going back all the way to zero. And the second thing is there's got to be an earnings-based stock market stall at least. I think unless we have a war, a disruption, a petroleum blockade, inflation should continue to decline. I know that the media likes to shriek, but inflation should continue to decline because supply blockages are opening up. My midterm expectation is that those combination of inflation declining and mild interest rate declining should see some economic slowdown, should see, but not guaranteed, a stock market moderation. Technological, that's the wild card. What's going to happen in the next, for 2024, who the heck knows? I'm not expecting catastrophic events. I mean, there's nothing that says that's going to happen. Real estate has to do something. Something's got to give. Interest rates are too high and the real estate is too highly priced. I have no clue really what's going to happen with inflation, and I have no clue what's going to happen with real estate. So, investing, what do I think is going to happen? Again, this could be the year of the bond. The reason is that they are now no longer in hibernation. You can actually make a decent yield, and if interest rates go down slightly, as I am thinking will happen, we'll have capital gains as well. So in the past decade, we had a win-lose scenario where stocks went up, bonds laid there. In this situation, we may easily have a win-win where bonds go up and stocks eventually go up as well. I do think that since the stock market, and I'll get into this in a later video, but the S&P 500 with its focus on 7 magnificent stocks, the Magnificent Seven, at some point must lag. S&P 500 equals sideways in 2024. That's my guess. International, do we want to buy it? It's undervalued, so historically it should outperform the S&P 500. Do we want to buy it before or after a potential decline? That's the wild card. Small stocks, again, incredibly undervalued. They've recently started coming back up, but before or after a potential S&P 500 decline, that we don't know. Hey, we're diversified. Healthcare. Mildly undervalued right now because GLP-1, those anti-obesity medications, are causing everyone to think the world will become much healthier, and that may be true, probably not in 2024. So a mild expansion of healthcare stocks seems appropriate. I'm holding our position in that. Finally, good old petroleum, which is transitioning into cleaner forms of energy. If you've checked, by the way, the United States is doing a marvelous job at becoming cleaner. It's the rest of the world that needs to catch up to us. Energy appears mildly cheap right now, to be honest, and we're holding our positions. Petroleum just won't die. I see a small position in petroleum energy as a good inflation hedge because an acting out in the petroleum markets is the primary cause of potential future inflation for us in 2024. Value stocks, ignored and underpriced, as we've all focused on the Magnificent Seven. I'll talk about those in a coming video. We're already there. We own them. Let's keep them. A decline will simply make them more attractive. Now, another thing that's big is that our domestic asset allocation funds, our FPA Crescent, our Wellesley, those mutual funds can go where we don't, into convertibles, into high yield, longer term bonds, which I ain't touching because I'm not sure about a potential recession. So let's keep those. We may see those do what they did in the first decade of the 21st century, which is to actually outperform. They could do really well, and we're going to keep holding them. of course, we have to address technology. Right now, overpriced, frankly. I wouldn't hesitate to buy in a decline, however. Please contact me if you have questions. Meanwhile, it's the holiday season. I am wearing my Christmas sloth, and I wish you happy holidays and blessings.